The Mediterranean Sea, Mediterranean Sea, is a sea connected to the Atlantic Ocean, surrounded by the Mediterranean region and almost completely enclosed by land. On the north by southern Europe and Anatolia, on the south by North Africa, and on the east by the Levant. The sea is sometimes considered a part of the Atlantic Ocean, although it is usually identified as a separate body of water. The name Mediterranean is derived from the Latin Mediterraneus, meaning inland, or in the middle of the land. It covers an approximate area of 2.5 million km2, but its connection to the Atlantic is only 14 kilometers wide. The Strait of Gibraltar is a narrow strait that connects the Atlantic Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea and separates Gibraltar and Spain in Europe from Morocco in Africa. In oceanography, it is sometimes called the Euro-African Mediterranean Sea or the European Mediterranean Sea to distinguish it from Mediterranean seas elsewhere. The Mediterranean Sea has an average depth of 1,500 meters and the deepest recorded point is 5,267 meters in the Calypso Deep in the Ionian Sea. The sea is bordered on the north by Europe, the east by Asia, and in the south by Africa. Is located between latitudes 30 degrees and 46 degrees north and longitudes 5 degrees 50 W and 36 degrees east. Its west-east length, from the Strait of Gibraltar to the Gulf of Iskenderun, on the southwestern coast of Turkey, is approximately 2,500 miles. The sea's average north-south length, from Croatia's southern shore to Libya, is approximately 500 miles. The Mediterranean Sea, including the Sea of Marmara, has a surface area of approximately 970,000 square miles. The sea was an important route for merchants and travelers of ancient times that allowed for trade and cultural exchange between emergent peoples of the region. The history of the Mediterranean region is crucial to understanding the origins and development of many modern societies. The countries with coastlines on the Mediterranean Sea are Albania, Algeria, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Croatia, Cyprus, Egypt, France, Greece, Israel, Italy, Lebanon, Libya, Malta, Morocco, Monaco, Montenegro, Northern Cyprus, Palestine, Slovenia, Spain, Syria, Turkey, and Tunisia. In addition, Gibraltar and Akrotiri and Acalia are British overseas territories with coastlines on the sea. Name. The term Mediterranean derives from the Latin word Mediterraneus, meaning, in the middle of earth, or, between lands, as it is between the continents of Africa, Asia and Europe. The Greek name Mesigios is similarly from mu epsilon sigma omicron, middle, plus gamma eta, land, earth. The Mediterranean Sea has historically had several names. For example, the Carthaginians called it the Syrian Sea, and later Romans commonly called it Mare Nostrum, and occasionally Mare Internum. In ancient Syrian texts, Phoenician epics and in the Hebrew Bible, it was primarily known as the Great Sea, or simply, the Sea. However, it has also been called the Hindu Sea, due to its location on the west coast of Greater Syria or the Holy Land, and therefore behind a person facing the east, sometimes translated as a Western Sea. Another name was the Sea of the Philistines, from the people inhabiting a large portion of its shores near the Israelites. The sea is also called the Great Sea, in the general prologue by Geoffrey Chaucer. In Ottoman Turkish, it has also been called Bar-i Safed, meaning the pure white sea. In modern Hebrew, it has been called Hayam Hartikon, the Middle Sea, reflecting the sea's name in ancient Greek, Latin, German, and modern languages in both Europe and the Middle East. Similarly, in modern Arabic, it is known as Al-Bahr, Al-Abayad, Al-Mutawasit, the White Middle Sea, while in Islamic and older Arabic literature, it was referenced as Bahr-al-Rum, or the Romaic Byzantine Sea. In Turkish, it is known as Akdeniz, the White Sea, since among Turks the white color represents the west. History. Ancient civilizations. Several ancient civilizations were located around the Mediterranean shores. and were greatly influenced by their proximity to the sea. It provided routes for trade, colonization, and war, as well as food for numerous communities throughout the ages. Due to the shared climate, geology, and access to the sea, cultures centered around the Mediterranean tended to have some extent of intertwined culture and history. Two of the most notable Mediterranean civilizations in classical antiquity were the Greek city-states and the Phoenicians, both of which extensively colonized the coastlines of the Mediterranean. Later, when Augustus founded the Roman Empire, the Romans referred to the Mediterranean as Mare Nostrum. Darius I of Persia, who conquered ancient Egypt, built a canal linking the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. Darius's canal was wide enough for two triremes to pass each other with oars extended, and required 4 days to traverse. Middle Ages and empires. The Western Roman Empire collapsed around AD 476. Temporarily the East was again dominant as the Byzantine Empire formed from the eastern half of the Roman Empire. Another power arose in the 7th century, and with it the religion of Islam, which soon swept across from the East, at its greatest extent. The Arab Empire controlled 75% of the Mediterranean region and left a lasting footprint on its eastern and southern shores. Europe was reviving, however, as more organized and centralized states began to form in the later Middle Ages after the Renaissance of the 12th century. Ottoman power continued to grow, and in 1453, the Byzantine Empire was extinguished with the conquest of Constantinople. Ottomans gained control of much of the sea in the 16th century and maintained naval bases in southern France, Algeria, and Tunisia. Barbarossa, the famous Ottoman captain, is a symbol of this domination with the victory of the Battle of Preveza. The Battle of Jabar marked the apex of Ottoman naval domination in the Mediterranean. As the naval prowess of the European powers increased, they confronted Ottoman expansion in the region when the Battle of Lepanto checked the power of the Ottoman navy. This was the last naval battle to be fought primarily between galleys. The Barbary pirates of North Africa preyed on Christian shipping in the western Mediterranean Sea. According to Robert Davis, from the 16th to 19th centuries, pirates captured 1 million to 1.25 million Europeans as slaves. The development of oceanic shipping began to affect the entire Mediterranean. Once, all trade from the east had passed through the region, but now the circumnavigation of Africa allowed spices and other goods to be imported through the Atlantic ports of Western Europe. 21st century and migrations. In 2013, the Maltese president described the Mediterranean Sea as a cemetery, due to the large amounts of migrants who drowned there after their boats capsize. European Parliament President Martin Schulz said that Europe's migration policy has turned the Mediterranean into a graveyard, referring to the number of drowned refugees in the region as a direct result of the policies. An Azerbaijani official described the sea as a burial ground, where people die. Following the 2013 Lampedusa migrant shipwreck, the Italian government decided to strengthen the national system for the patrolling of the Mediterranean Sea by authorizing Mare Nostrum, a military and humanitarian mission in order to rescue the migrants and arrest the traffickers of immigrants. Geography. The Mediterranean Sea is connected to the Atlantic Ocean by the Strait of Gibraltar in the west and to the Sea of Marmara and the Black Sea by the Dardanelles and the Bosphorus respectively. In the east, the Sea of Marmara is often considered a part of the Mediterranean Sea, whereas the Black Sea is generally not. The 163 kilometers long man-made Suez Canal in the southeast connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. Large islands in the Mediterranean include Cyprus, Crete, Euboea, Rhodes, Lesbos, Chios, Cephalonia, Corfu, Limnos, Samos, Naxos and Andros in the eastern Mediterranean, Sardinia, Corsica, Sicily, Crescent, Krk, Brac, Hvar, Pag, Corcula and Malta in the central Mediterranean, and Ibiza, Majorca, and Menorca in the western Mediterranean. The typical Mediterranean climate has hot, dry summers and mild, rainy winters. Crops of the region include olives, grapes, oranges, tangerines, and cork. Extent. The International Hydrographic Organization defines the limits of the Mediterranean Sea as follows: stretching from the Strait of Gibraltar in the west to the entrances to the Dardanelles and the Suez Canal in the east. The Mediterranean Sea is bounded by the coasts of Europe, Africa, and Asia, and is divided into two deep basins. Western Basin. On the west, a line joining the extremities of Cape Trafalgar and Cape Spartel. On the northeast, the west coast of Italy. In the Strait of Messina, a line joining the north extreme of Cape Aci with Cape Pelora, the east extreme of the island of Sicily. The north coast of Sicily. On the east, a line joining Cape Lilibeo, the western point of Sicily, through the Adventure Bank to Cape Bon. Eastern Basin. On the west, the northeastern and eastern limits of the Western Basin. On the northeast, a line joining Cumcail and Cape Helles, the western entrance to the Dardanelles. On the southeast, the entrance to the Suez Canal. On the east, the coasts of Syria and Palestine. Oceanography, being nearly landlocked, affects conditions in the Mediterranean Sea. For instance, tides are very limited as a result of the narrow connection with the Atlantic Ocean. The Mediterranean is characterized and immediately recognized by its deep blue color. Evaporation greatly exceeds precipitation and river runoff in the Mediterranean, a fact that is central to the water circulation within the basin. Evaporation is especially high in its eastern half, causing the water level to decrease and salinity to increase eastward. The salinity at 5 meters depth is 3.8%. The pressure gradient pushes relatively cool, low salinity water from the Atlantic across the basin. It warms and becomes saltier as it travels east, then sinks in the region of the Levant and circulates westward, to spill over the Strait of Gibraltar. Thus, seawater flow is eastward in the strait's surface waters, and westward below, once in the Atlantic. This chemically distinct Mediterranean intermediate water can persist thousands of kilometers away from its source. Coastal countries. The following countries have a coastline on the Mediterranean Sea. Northern shore: Spain, France, Monaco, Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Albania, Greece and Turkey. Eastern shore: Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, State of Palestine. Southern shore: Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt. Island nations: Malta, Cyprus, Northern Cyprus. Several other territories also border the Mediterranean Sea. The British Overseas Territory of Gibraltar, the Spanish autonomous cities of Ceuta and Melilla and nearby islands, and the sovereign base areas on Cyprus. Major cities with populations larger than 200,000 people bordering the Mediterranean Sea are subdivisions. According to the International Hydrographic Organization, the Mediterranean Sea is subdivided into a number of smaller water bodies, each with their own designation. The Strait of Gibraltar, the Alboran Sea, between Spain and Morocco, the Balearic Sea, between mainland Spain and its Balearic Islands, the Ligurian Sea between Corsica and Liguria, the Tyrrhenian Sea enclosed by Sardinia, Italian Peninsula and Sicily, the Ionian Sea between Italy, Albania and Greece, the Adriatic Sea between Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro and Albania, the Aegean Sea between Greece and Turkey. Other seas. Although not recognized by the IHO treaties, there are some other seas whose names have been in common use from the ancient times, or in the present. The Sea of Sardinia, between Sardinia and Balearic Islands, as a part of the Balearic Sea. The Sea of Sicily, between Sicily and Tunisia. The Libyan Sea, between Libya and Crete. In the Aegean Sea, the Thracian Sea in its north, the Myrtoan Sea between the Cyclades and the Peloponnese, the Sea of Crete north of Crete. the Icarian Sea between Kos and Chios, the Cilician Sea between Turkey and Cyprus, the Levantine Sea at the eastern end of the Mediterranean. Other features: many of these smaller seas feature in local myth and folklore and derive their names from these associations. In addition to the seas, a number of gulfs and straits are also recognized. The St. George Bay in Beirut, Lebanon, the Ras Ibn Hani Cape in Latakia, Syria, the Ras Al Baisa Cape in northern Syria, the Minat El Baida Bay near ancient Tigrit, Syria. The Strait of Gibraltar connects the Atlantic Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea and separates Spain from Morocco. The Bay of Gibraltar, at the southern end of the Iberian Peninsula. The Gulf of Corinth, an enclosed sea between the Ionian Sea and the Corinth Canal. The Pagasetic Gulf, the Gulf of Olos, south of the Thermaic Gulf, formed by the Mount Pelion Peninsula. The Saronic Gulf, the Gulf of Athens, between the Corinth Canal and the Myrtoan Sea. The Thermaic Gulf, the Gulf of Thessaloniki, located in the northern Greek region of Macedonia. The Kavarna Gulf, Croatia. The Gulf of Lion, south of France. The Gulf of Valencia, east of Spain. The Strait of Messina, between Sicily and the toe of Italy. The Gulf of Genoa, northwestern Italy. The Gulf of Venice, northeastern Italy. The Gulf of Trieste, northeastern Italy. The Gulf of Taranto, southern Italy. The Gulf of Salerno, southwestern Italy. The Gulf of Gaeta, southwestern Italy. The Gulf of Squillace, southern Italy. The Strait of Otranto, between Italy and Albania. The Gulf of Haifa, northern Israel. The Gulf of Sidra, between Tripolitania and Cyrenaica. The Strait of Sicily, between Sicily and Tunisia. The Corsica Channel, between Corsica and Italy. The Strait of Bonifacio, between Sardinia and Corsica. The Gulf of Iskanderun, between Iskanderun and Adana. The Gulf of Antalya, between west and east shores of Antalya. The Bay of Kota, in southwestern Montenegro and southeastern Croatia. The Malta Channel, between Sicily and Malta. The Gozo Channel, between Malta Island and Gozo.